An absolutely beautiful day today on the homestead. The last time we used our skid steer with the bulldozer attachment, I snagged this wire right here, which goes into our 14-pin connector, and it ripped it out. I didn't realize it till the end, and I'm going to show you what I did to troubleshoot it and to figure out what the wiring was. I couldn't find any wiring diagrams on the internet, so I resorted to using my multimeter. And I'm going to show you what I did to get through that, to get this skid steer and the bulldozer, 6-way bulldozer attachment to work properly. This 6-way dozer blade, right? You've got the hydraulics. You got two lines that come in off the skid steer, and there's a 2-way valve in there. I got it running 2-way, and that controls the hydraulics, the dozer blade turning. And then you also have another cylinder here, right here. You see that? This one here, this hydraulic cylinder here. So you've got 1, 2, 3. Right? This cylinder here controls the left to right, the height left to right. This cylinder and the other cylinder there, that controls fore and aft. Okay. There's some hydraulic blocks here with an actuator in there. There's a valve too. Well, that's what these are, valves, and that controls the flow of the hydraulic fluid. So when you push the switch, it will turn off these two and open up these two so that the blade will turn. Okay, so what ended up happening is you can see this is my 14-pin connector, right? 14-pin connector, and I ended up tearing the wires right out of this. On the ends of the wires, you got these, basically they're pins. And then on the skid steer, I gotta put this back together. I took this all apart. Then you get this on the skid steer. So this is the male. It's got the male pins in it. And then this would receive those pins. So in the end, after messing with this thing for a while and going back and forth, I went through, and what I did is this was all apart. I took these wires and I figured out which ones talk to each other. And the black, there's one wire in here, this one here, there's one wire black, that's your ground, that's your common ground. All the other wires are to control different aspects of the way the machine works. So if you're not using a computer to control the blade and you're doing everything manually, there's only 2 wires you need here. You need the ground, and then you need the one that actuates the pistons. So I spent a good part of the day trying to figure all that out. And then my other obstacle was trying to figure out which of these pins are actuated by the switches in my skid steer. So how I did that is I took my ohms meter and I switched it over to continuity, and on your digital meter down over here you got the ohms symbol there, looks like a horseshoe, and then down below that you got what looks like the bars on your computer, the volume, and then it looks like there's a megaphone there. That will give you an audible sound when you get the continuity. So we've done this before. If you get a complete circuit, and you got this on the continuity setting, and you touch the two probes together, it makes a beeping noise, right? That means I have a complete circuit. So first thing I did was find out which wires make a complete circuit. So the next thing I did is I took my wires, and I know that the black wire is my common ground. This is on my dozer attachment. This is the lead off the dozer attachment. So I took the common ground, which is the black, right? I'm not going to pull this all back apart. You got to trust me that all these wires look like these two, right? In the end, I don't need these two. I got all these wires I don't need. So I went to my common ground, my black, common ground, and then I was looking for where my continuity was. What's the complete circuit? Right? So it ended up being my blue wire and my gray wire. So my blue and my gray wires, right, make a complete circuit. Now I've got, if I take this and I go to my black again, and I touch it to my red, see here, no audible sound. I go to my purple, no audible sound. But when I go to my gray and blue, so I have a complete circuit there. Okay. Now the next thing I did, so on my machine, that's why I took this off the machine, I pulled this back and I looked down in here, right, pull it back, and there's one wire in here that's black, right? That's my ground. My next step was I took my dozer blade attachment and I put the pin for the black wire. I put the pin for the black wire into the male pin in here that corresponds with that black wire. Right? And then I turned on my machine. You're going to need another person to do this. I turned on the machine, and in my machine, on the right side right there, on the joystick, there's a button that controls the tipping of this blade when this is operating properly. And what I did is I took my multimeter and I set it to DC volts, right? DC volts. I put one end of my multimeter, the black, on the black pin by the wire, right? And then while the person was holding the switch over there, I went through each one of these pins until I found one that was showing voltage. And I went through all of them. And then I pushed the button the other way, and I went through all of them. And then I took my 14 pin connector and I matched my two wires that completed the circuit to the black on my dozer attachment, and I put those in the slots for the 14 pins. So if you can see that, I got the ground is right there, and I got 1, 2 more, and that corresponds with the male side, or male side on the skid steer. Connect this back up. It's in the mid 70s today. So you can see that the blade goes fore and aft, side to side, and it rotates up and down, side to side. So that's the fix. I gotta put everything back together. I'm not gonna film all that. I do need to purchase a new 14-pin connector. This one I'm just gonna get put back together so I can use the machine. You can see this is part of it. Basically what happened was this was connected, screwed on the end of this, and it broke this off and ripped all the pins out. So I got to replace this, and I got to put this back together. But yeah, a simple fix, not expensive. You're not going to find, I couldn't find anything on the internet that basically led me straight there. I was looking for a diagram that gave me exactly where the pins go in the 14-pin connector, and they said that the color code could change and everything, so I couldn't get a straightforward reply on that. But yeah, to get this thing to tip back and forth, if you're just going straight forward, it really is the ground and two wires, and the other 11 pins are accessories that we're not using with our skid steer. So make sure you have your best day.